tired of smacking you with certain.
All right, let's call this area board of zoning appeals meeting for August 22nd to order. Can I get a roll call of the members, please?
Andy Bailey,
Here.
Garrett Muller's absent, Stacy Tiger,
Here.
Scott Hunsonsberger,
Here.
Chester Banks,
Here.
staff members Liz Ditzel and Kat Feller present, as well as attorney Jay Moore.
Good. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the minutes. See if we can approve them as read, or is there any corrections that might need to be made?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented to us.
Second.
So Chester moved, Scott seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So let's continue with the old business. We've got a continuation from the last meeting. The application CC 2023-00674, docket number 28-23-VA. Samuel Yosa. He's asking for requesting approval of a variance. What's the update on that?
Yeah, so, if you recall, we continued this because of some drainage questions and, needing a site plan and some concerns from the county surveyor side. This had gone to the drainage board, 2 weeks ago. They had discussed it, and then they actually continued it, and then they met again today and discussed it, and they had some other property owners, they've done some investigation. There's some really significant drainage challenges out there, and so to summarize a fairly lengthy discussion with pictures, the drainage board denied drainage board approval this morning. So this does not, the drainage board believes this is not suitable, not because it's not zoned correctly, but because there are really significant water issues that do not have a solution and are systemic across this lot. So without drainage board approval, in fact with them stating specifically that there is nowhere to put this water, not for what's coming over land and not for what would go into a septic system or out of a septic system perimeter drain, staff would then recommend denying. I don't believe Ron Wary's here tonight, he was here in the drainage board meeting this morning, but staff would recommend denying the request just based upon the fact that it doesn't meet the findings relative to the county surveyors and the drainage board's denial of drainage. So I would argue it specifically does not meet finding A, that the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, specifically because the drainage board is determined. The water issues are too substantial, and at this point, no solution has been proposed.
Okay. Okay. So we need to make a motion on this to deny it, but do we make a motion, not supposed to make negative motions. That's I guess what I'm struggling with. So do you just
You would make a motion to deny the
variance?
And you would then need to be specific about
Based
which
on-
finding it doesn't meet.
Yep.
So what finding is that?
This is finding A.
Finding it.
It's finding A, yeah. The finding is, you're in fact finding that the approval would be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the drainage board denied drainage board approval for construction on the site.
Probably also maybe
Flooding
even
and water issues.
B2,
Yeah,
because it will, I think what they were also probably saying is that it would impact the
Neighbors.
neighbors too.
Actually, that was very explicitly stated, the field owner behind and the county surveyor and multiple people. The owner of that lot has actually put a 5-gallon bucket in the ground that he's hand dug, where he's dropping a sump pump, and then he's running electrical through the trees from a neighboring house, and then he's running a line across a natural rise of the ground and pumping up to 1.5 feet deep of water into the farm field to the rear in order to vacate enough water to be able to even get across, for what, so the neighbor to the rear was actually there. He was very logical, in explaining his issue, and the surveyor had also documented pictures showing what was going on and seen it firsthand. So that was actually part of that conversation, is that there's also failed and failing septics on the lots on both sides due to water infiltration and no easements to remove the water to go anywhere. So it's not just this lot, it's, things that were built a long time ago nearby also having problems. And certainly if this water is removed from this lot and put on the neighboring
Elsewhere.
properties, it simply accelerates septic failures and other issues nearby, as well as not actually solving the problems needed to build on this.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, I'll make a motion, we deny docket number 2823 VA due to the fact that it does not meet the findings in the staff report, finding A, both finding A and B, I guess, due to the water situation.
I'll be glad to second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. When you guys are ready, can we get a roll call vote?
This
Yes,
would be
to deny.
to deny, yes,
Yes.
you're voting yes to deny.
Yes.
So sorry, Andy, what was your,
Yes.
Stacy Pettigo,
Yes.
Scott Husbandberger,
Yes.
and Chester Francis?
Yes.
Motion pass.
I would note, should they come up with some creative solution that no one's aware of, they can certainly take that back to the drainage board, and
That's right.
then the material facts would have changed, and they could come back to try to pursue development there, but.
Okay, it's on to the public hearings that are due for tonight. Let's start with application CC 2023-009, or sorry, 00793, docket number 34-23-VA. It's the petition of Brian Foreman. He is requesting the approval of a variance to permit the construction of a replacement dwelling 6 feet from the rear property line instead of the required 20. Can you take us through the staff report, please, Liz?
Yes, so as you noted, the applicant is Brian Foreman, and this is a setback variance request in the agricultural zoning district. Both this property and everything surrounding it are zoned agriculturally. This is a 1 acre site on the north side of East 650 South. In December of 2022, this former dwelling, which was legal non-conforming with respect to setback, was completely destroyed by a fire, and it cannot be rebuilt without a variance. Whether it's a variance from the road right away or from the rear property line, there's simply not enough depth for something to comply with the setbacks. The applicant has opted to move the new proposed house back further from the road right of way so they can meet the front yard setback from 650 South, but that then means they're having difficulty meeting the required rear property line setback behind. There's a picture on the second page that shows where the original house sat. You can kind of see this is an oddly shaped lot. Very likely, where an old farmhouse was carved out of what was at some point in the past an operating farm. And then there's a picture of the lot there from 650. In terms of a request analysis, section 203.12 of the Unified Development Ordinance specifies 3 findings that must exist to grant a variance. First, that the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So this does not appear to create an injurious condition. The house that was previously on the site was there since 1960 and didn't cause any known issue for traffic. The fact that the new house will be built further back will actually increase the visibility for the intersection that's to the west. So moving it back and granting a rear setback variance would appear to actually benefit the public and the environment. Second, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. So this site is surrounded by mostly farm ground. The nearest house to the west is a bit more than a quarter mile away. There's no other homes in the immediate vicinity. The former dwelling was here for a very long time. Rebuilding a similar single-family dwelling should not create a substantial change to neighboring values. And 3, strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. So this house was destroyed by a fire, rendering the owner and his family homeless. The lot is not very deep in the most practical area there is to rebuild a dwelling. Furthermore, the petitioner needs space for a brand new septic to be installed, and that cannot go in any disturbed areas. So in order for the house to meet the front setback, it must be closer than the rules allow to the rear. There's just no way around that. Any position the house is placed relative to its setbacks in the general location that it's at does generate a need for a variance of some kind. So there's not really a way that they could avoid that. So consequently, staff recommends to approve the variance, allow them to rebuild.
Thanks, Liz. Is the petitioner there and have anything to add? Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add? All right, go to board discussion. I think it's a slam dunk. I mean, we're moving it
Which
to
one?
closer, but to the edge, but away from the road, so.
The only question I have is how close is that other building to the lot line? Do you know?
Yeah, it's 6 foot from the rear property line. Normally in the agricultural district, you would need to be 20 foot from the rear for a primary structure like a house. Now a barn can be 5 foot, but it is a lower distance for accessory structures. And part of that is because you want room for fire, just to have a little bit of space, but this is kind of an unusual situation.
And so they're meeting the requirements that we have for most of the cities where 5 feet on each side of the line, give you 10 feet total for.
Yeah, if this
fire
was,
truck
if
and
this
stuff
was in
like
like the town of Mulberry, there would only be a 5 or 6 foot side setback,
Right,
but in agricultural ground, we have larger setbacks.
Right, sure. So from the standpoint of safety or firefighting, it meets what would be normal requirements.
There's no concern, it's not
Right.
gonna have excessive,
Right,
there's not gonna be an issue with building code that can't be solved by design.
right, yeah. Okay, so with that, I'd probably make a motion to go ahead and approve CC 2023-00793, docket 34-23-BA. According to the findings of the staff report, is that the proper
Incorporated by reference.
incorporated by reference therein? Okay, all right. I knew there was something I was missing, but I was looking at Kat for the additional words. All right,
I'll second.
Scott seconded, so Chester moved and Scott seconded. Take a roll call vote when you guys are ready.
Andy Bailey,
Yes.
Stacy Pettico,
Yes.
Scott Husmusberger,
Yes.
Chester Backus.
yes.
This
Approved
motion
4-0.
passes.
So you'll be able to reach out to us and actually get your permits.
And I'll get you that information. Welcome to stick around if you like, if you want to move on.
Thanks, Brian.
We will not be offended.
All right, let's move
Well, I
on.
can see a lot of people are here against this one.
Well, there are 2, so there's the possibility.
All right, let's move on to the next one, which is application CC-2023-00794, docket number 33-23-SE. That's the petition of M&W Properties LLC / John Metzger. He's requesting a special exception to expand a previously approved special exception use in order to build a commercial greenhouse in addition to the existing greenhouse. Can you take us through the staff report, please, Liz?
Yes, so as you noted, there is a typo in the lead of the staff report. It is a special exception to expand a special exception use for the greenhouse. The parcel and everything around it are zoned agriculturally. The site of the request, like I stated, is A1. It's on the north side of West County Road 700 North in Ross Township. This will look familiar to you because there's kind of been a rash of requests lately for different activities, going on these properties. And unfortunately, there wasn't the foresight to be able to combine them all into one on any side, so it's come to you in a series. There is a commercial greenhouse previously approved by special exception by the Board of Zoning Appeals, and as a special exception use, in order to expand, they need to again get a special exception for that expansion. And The petitioner does desire to expand that greenhouse business and add an additional commercial greenhouse to grow more different types of flowers than are being grown in the current greenhouse. The expansion will not be increasing the number of employees to more than they currently have. There's a picture there showing the location on the site, and then the proposed new greenhouse there on the site, which so in order to approve the request, the Board of Zoning Appeals needs to find the special exception standards contained in 812.01 of the zoning ordinance are indeed met. First, the proposed use conforms to the district provisions in which it will be located and the general regulations of the ordinance. So if the BZA grants the special exception to expand the special exception use, the existing business will be permitted to build another greenhouse and expand the operations in the A1 district, and the use will continue to conform. The applicant does intend to meet all other ordinance standards and building code requirements. They have already filed their plans with the state and actually provided us, I believe today, the state did determine that this structure will not be subject to plan review, and it gets an exemption as an agricultural structure. So we do have a determination, so then it'll just be local building code as an ag structure. So 2, the proposed use shall not involve an element or cause of condition that may be dangerous, injurious, or noxious to any other property or persons, and shall comply with performance standards herein. So the commercial greenhouse that's there now got its approval October 27th of 2020. It's been at that location since then, and no complaints have been received to staff's knowledge. The additional greenhouse being added to grow more types of plants than what's currently growing doesn't seem to be an issue. Furthermore, that new greenhouse will be smaller and it will be behind the existing greenhouse. So there's nothing new that's going closer to the road than where the existing business is. 3, the proposed use shall be sited oriented in the landscape so the relationship of its buildings and grounds to adjacent buildings and properties do not impair health, safety, or comfort, nor adversely affect values of adjacent properties. So again, there is an existing greenhouse here since 2020. It's owned and operated by the petitioner's daughter. The site is surrounded by property that's owned by the petitioner, and the cabinet shop that's there on the same petition site has been in operation for a long time. Adding a smaller additional greenhouse behind the larger one would not appear to affect adjacent property values. 4, the proposed use shall produce a total environmental effect consistent with and not harmful to the environment of the neighborhood. So this neighborhood is a mix of ag and rural residential uses. The expansion would be a similar greenhouse to what's already there, so it should continue to mesh with the rural area around it as it currently does. 5, the proposed use shall organize vehicular access and parking to minimize conflicting traffic movement on adjacent streets. So there's plenty of space for parking on this site as it is 2.3 acres. The applicant will be able to provide the required parking for all the buildings. And 6, the proposed use shall promote the objectives of the ordinance and be consistent with the plan. So the 2012 Comprehensive Plan, Community Heritage and Quality of Life, Goal 5, Objective 1 says to encourage a wide variety of agriculturally based tourism and farm-based business opportunities. A commercial greenhouse is consistent with these objectives. Consequently, staff recommends to approve the special exception request and allow the petitioner to expand the existing operation and have an additional greenhouse on the petition site.
Thank you, Liz. The petitioner have anything to add to the report? Okay. Seeing that there's nobody else in here, we'll ask if there's any objections. Is there any board discussion? I don't have any. Look for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve application CC-2023-00794, docket 33-23-SE, according to the findings of the staff report and incorporated by reference.
Second. It's approved and seconded. Roll call vote when you get a chance, Liz, please.
Andy Bailey?
Yes.
Stacy Pinker?
Yes.
Scott Hubsensberger?
Yes.
And Chester Bennett?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So you'll be able to come and get your permit.
No, you guys are fine. All right.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Any other new business, Liz?
I don't believe. Just double check, make sure sure.
Nothing really.
Cat hasn't, nope, nothing new, just making sure that, that's my brain.
Yep,
Be
that's
on
fine.
alert that October's meeting will have to be moved if we have
Early votings.
early voting will be in this
October
one.
meeting.
I'm hoping that we can be able to be at Old Stony, but
The airport.
because there is a conflict with
Hey, thank you.
Welcome.
so that's posted.
Okay. All right.
It's a short one.
Our next meeting's September 20, or next regular meeting is September 26, 2023, here in the courthouse. So, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. We're adjourned.
We're gonna put that in minutes.
It's a short one tonight.
It was a